Today on the podcast, we have the opportunity to speak with one of our most recognizable and accomplished CrossFitters, the incredible James Hooks, and learn from him what it takes to have a really, really mind-blowing transformation. Stick around.
Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we hear and learn from our coaches, CrossFitters, and Glen Ed community leaders. Now, here are your hosts, Dallas and Greg.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we do get to learn from our CFE coaches, meet and learn with some of our CFE CrossFitters, and occasionally talk with our Glen Ed community leaders and business owners. I'm your co-host, Dallas Amston, your Communicate to Succeed trainer, speaker, presentation. I don't think it matters anymore because I'm more excited to talk about what we're here to talk about.
I love it.
As always, is my co-host, fearless and awesome, G. Skell. How you doing?
What's up, guys? I'm Coach G, the other co-host of this podcast, but this is not about me. Today, we get to feature and star and actually learn from the man, the myth, the legend, one of our most recognizable, and accomplished CrossFitters, the incredible James Hooks. Ladies and gentlemen, help me in welcoming to the podcast, James Hooks.
Making me blush.
The day is finally here.
I love it.
That's
Excited
awesome, man.
Here.
So as a way of casting a vision here, James officially became part of our CFE community on December 14th of 2018, just ahead of Christmas time, as a part of our 6-week challenge and onboarding program. And since that time, he's accumulated 325 workouts with us. But more importantly, he has taken his physique, his health, his mindset, and his life to an entirely new level. But I'm not gonna steal his thunder. Now that said, Dallas has a little bit more information on James.
Well, James, outside of the gym, you're a health coach. You're also a husband and a father. But inside of the gyms, I don't know when I get to show this photo. For those of you watching visually on the YouTubes. For those of you on the audio version, you might want to just check this out. But when do I get to show this photo? Because this is one of the most impressive physical transformations that we have ever seen. And today we get to pick James's brain to learn some of those keys to his transformation. We got a lot to cover. So, James, are you ready? We're just going to jump right in.
Oh, I'm excited, boys. I'm just here to chat with two of my favorite human beings on the planet. So
I love it. All right, cool.
Let's get it going.
We're gonna break the ice with something a little easier then, okay? Several hundred CrossFit sessions and workouts under your belt now. You clearly have quite a perspective on this. What would you say is or are your all-time favorite CrossFit workouts?
I really have two that come to mind straight off the top, and both of them have less to do about the workout themselves and the memories and with the community associated with that, right? For the first one that comes to mind, jumps out right away, for me is Murph, right? It's something we do regularly every Memorial Day. It's not necessarily a workout that I'm great at. My push-ups tend to fall apart fairly quickly, right? But just the atmosphere of everyone doing the same workout together, and really using that time to honor someone who gave his life for our country, you know, and in service of us, is just such a cool experience. And I've done one Murph, full individual Murph with a vest on, just to say that I can check that box, and I know I'm capable of that. And ever since, what I've been doing in the years since then is I've been splitting a Murph with two different people. So I'll do a full Murph as the day goes along, right? But I like to split it with two different people. That way we can encourage each other and stuff like that. And that's always a really cool experience. And now go ahead, Greg.
I'd like to interject real quick. So to the audience here, the uninitiated, if you're not familiar with what Murph is named after Lieutenant Michael Murphy, a war hero, an American hero, an example of courage and selflessness. And we honor Lieutenant Murphy every Memorial Day by doing a workout that is stupendously over top, which is it's a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, 1 mile run. And what James is saying, he's not only conquered that workout, but he's done it full weight vest, which is extremely impressive. And that workout is definitely memorable. If you've ever done it, you know. So,
yeah.
All right, James. So that's one that comes to mind for you. What's the
Yeah,
other one?
The second one that comes to mind is one of my more triumphant moments I've ever felt in my life. It was my very first open, right, back in 2019, right? 19.2 was the workout. It was and I don't think I've ever seen this format since, where if you completed a certain amount of work, you actually earned, right, additional time to do another round. And actually, Coach G here was my G Scale was my judge that night, and because we were doing it, on Friday evenings like we do in the open workouts, and I did the last rep to earn that next round with less than a second left to go. I completed that rep,
Nice.
and just seeing the entire gym just erupt. Right, because I was kind of the only one left at that point still working. Now I was doing that workout scaled because I was new to CrossFit,
Yeah.
and it takes time, to build up your abilities. But that was 19.2 was definitely a huge moment and something I'll always remember.
Nice.
Hold on. I think if we can, I actually have.
You shared the picture of that on my birthday, right? And I was just like, that is such a cool moment.
Hold on, I'm going to share that with the audience here too. So if you're watching,
Greg's got his hand way up in the air with 1 second left.
So I've got awesome. two photographs I want to share with you that it captures the moments that James is talking about. And if you are listening on the audio, definitely switch over to the YouTube and find the video of this as well. Give me just a moment to share the screen, the window, and let's see. Here we go. So there'll be 2 photographs. This is the first one. This is a photograph of, try it this way here.
Yeah.
Me judging James working on the cleans. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the cleans that were the buy-in to the next round. So this is a rep, and I think this might be one where James was struggling a bit. The workout had gotten to be pretty freaking hard.
Yeah,
he's really working very hard to get this rep, but the moment where he lands that final rep to get his buy-in to the next round is right here. This one right here. This is legendary. He had just stood up the rep. The bar's dropped to the ground. The place is going crazy. And James looking over at the clock, and I'm signaling 1 second to spare.
Yeah.
An amazing moment. Like, this is one of the magic of the CrossFit Open is all of us encouraging and pushing and cheering for each other in moments like this. So it brings out the best in all of us as athletes.
That's awesome. Love it.
Your thoughts, James?
No, that's exactly it, and that's why that moment will always stick out to me as one of my favorite workouts, right? But just because of that moment right there is so cool.
Love it. That's awesome, man. So question for you then. We get to go from the greatest moments, from the highlight reel to the blooper reel, right? So So what would you say then? That moment there was great, but what has been one of the hardest CrossFit workouts that you've ever done?
Sure. I've done this one twice. I have no idea why. After the first time I did it, I swore I would never do it again. Ever. Right. Best possible peer pressure in a CrossFit gym. So I have done it twice. I actually is the Hero Wad Chad.
Wow, yeah.
Chad is a 20-inch box step up.
Yeah.
Very, very, very simple. you're supposed to use like a 40-pound sandbag or something like that. I had very little supply in the early days of COVID, whenever all the gyms got shut down, right? And while everyone was still scrambling, now we did pretty quickly get some Zoom workouts scheduled and ready to go, but it all shut down so quick, like things were crazy. I had a plyo box at home, and I was like, okay, I've got that, and I've got a vest that I can wear instead of this 40-pound sandbag.
Yeah.
And it is a 20-inch step up with that weight, and it's 1,000 for time.
Yeah.
1,000 step ups for time.
Yeah. And at about the 600 mark, and at the time I was pretty fit, I felt like.
Yeah.
And about the 600 mark, it becomes such a ridiculous mental siege to just keep stepping up on that box over and over and over again. And it's really, really super tough, but also you learn a lot about yourself in those sorts of situations to just go to that dark place and just keep moving. Right. And it's almost a life lesson as well. It's really cool.
I remember when we had done Chad, I want to say maybe it was 21 then, maybe this last year. I'm not sure when, but it was actually for a 9/11. And and I just remember I went to, you hit the gates at some point, as we like to say, the gates of hell, but you hit those gates at some point. But I remember that it became such a lesson in stoicism for me, of just like, there's an old quote by Marcus Aurelius that basically is, the impediment to action becomes the action, or the obstacle becomes the way. And I just got to this point where I just started meditating on that phrase. The obstacle is the way. The obstacle is the way. There was no way out of it but through it. And so Chad is one of those like workouts that really sits in my mind too as a mental lesson for me.
Yeah. And I'll say the first time I did it, I was by myself in my garage. And the second time I did it, even though I was probably a similar fitness level, was much easier for me to keep moving, because I could look to my left, I could look to my right, and the other people around me were still moving as well. Right. And that is the power of community, right, when it comes to not only fitness, but in health in general, and just building that circle around you of people that are kind of a bulwark for you going forward. So Chad is
preach
awesome.
It, man. I love it. So then what are the exercises or workouts that you get, or WODs, CrossFit speak, what are the WODs that you get the most excited to see in the programming, James?
Well, my absolute biggest strength within CrossFit, and I'm always excited to see it, is that rowing machine. I am taller than most people, right? And I have that big booty disease. I got that big posterior chain. And I'm also, generally speaking, I am willing to go to a dark place and to just keep rowing, right? So like a 2,000 meter row, most people see that and they want to barf before they ever start. But for me, I'm like, let's go. Let's see if it's a PR day, right? And if not, how close can we get? So rower is definitely right there at the top of my list. But other than that, any partner WOD, right? Because I feel like I get the most out of myself in partner WODs, because I never want to be the partner of the two that feels like he's letting his partner down,
Sure.
And I've had experiences where, I had one partner WOD where Amanda Dornhorst, unfortunately she moved away with her family, super happy for them, but she drug me kicking and screaming through a partner WOD one time. And my breaks got shorter and shorter, and hers got longer and longer, and I absolutely was wrecked at the end of that. But it was awesome nonetheless, and I'll take a partner WOD any day.
I love that.
I love them, dude. I love them.
Yeah.
I think it's a really fun way. Instead of necessarily us like competing all the time, we become collaborators to divide and conquer. I like that.
Yeah.
So what would you say? So James, you're kind of closing in here on CrossFit veteran status at this point with all the WODs you've clocked in 320 plus now. What would you say is the number one mistake that you see newbie CrossFitters making?
I would say the comparison game. When you're, especially when you're newbie coming in, right? Maybe you are really strong, and maybe you're fairly fit as well, but some of the movements we do, some of the functional movements you're not going to find in the normal Globo gym, right? And it takes time, to build and what's cool about CrossFit is that it is so infinitely scalable, right? And understanding that if you put the work in, you can get to wherever, right? I 100% believe that, but not comparing yourself to the fire breathers of the world whenever you first step into the gym. Is probably for the best, just for new people, mentally it's for the best. Don't compare yourself to people who've been around for a long time.
Yeah, that's good.
I think it might be helpful to think of it like you want to compare yourself only to yourself. Like, am I making personal progress? Am I a better, more well-rounded athlete than I was yesterday? And enjoy that journey, because there's always, especially in CrossFit world, there's always more to learn. There's always more that you can do. You can always get a little stronger, have a little bit better engine or stamina. And it should be exciting to just enjoy that journey of progress. And there's always more to learn. You never really achieve mastery, but you're always closing in on it.
Yeah.
So comparing to yourself, I think, is the healthiest perspective. And speaking of comparing to yourself now, like, James, your fitness goals, what is the number one goal you have in fitness right now?
Right now, my goals, I try to keep a set of goals out in front of me all the time, right? I am at my best when there's a carrot on the stick. And right now, currently, I'm trying to get as lean as possible, right, for the next probably couple 3 months.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to shift my focus into more of increasing muscle mass, and then be ready for this upcoming open. I'd really like to make a run at qualifying as a quarterfinal athlete. It's interesting because the way the age groups and the divisions break down. I'm 39. I just turned 39 July 28th. So
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to be in the 40-year-old division next year or not.
Right.
Because my birthday falls right in one of the 2 weeks that they tend to do the open, or they tend to do the games. Because if I'm 40 during the games, then I compete as a 40-year-old. So it'll be interesting. It's going to come down to when the games are scheduled next year, whether I'm a 39-year-old next year or I'm a 40-year-old next year. So we'll see.
If it helps, James, the exciting news is that the game is almost always in August, which means that you'll qualify as a 40-year-old.
That'd be
and
great.
Since you and I are almost the exact same.
Oh, did we lose G?
I think we lost him for a second. He was saying something really exciting there, James. He was saying
he was saying that we're basically the exact same age.
Yeah.
Right?
So
I did know that.
It sounds like for one of our Friday Night Lights parties, the two of you are going to need to go head to head.
Oh,
we'll see.
Just don't let it be high level gymnastics, because I lose all day long.
How about we let you make the decision? No, I just.
Oh, give me the rower and wall ball workout. We'll go head to head all day. I love
That's awesome. I think that would actually be a fun matchup.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
that'd be fun
for sure. We'll go side by side here while we're waiting for him to show back up.
Cool.
Oh, there he is. So G, you missed it. G, you missed it. You froze on the podcast. The gauntlet got thrown down. That the two of you, since you're going to be in the same age range, same category, all of that, I think next year on one of the Friday night lights at the gym, you're going to have to go toe to toe.
I'll be there, man. Absolutely, I'm in 1,000%.
I said I'd be down for it if there's no high level gymnastics. I was like, give me a rower and wall ball workout, and I'll go with you.
Dude, that rower wall ball workout, if that comes back, that is going to be all you. Like that is your jam all day long.
That's my
but
jam.
the way it works out logistically.
Hold on 1 second. I've got it. What if the two of you are just main event Friday night lights for all of them? And that. Right, because we do right.
Oh,
or at least get a rubber match in there. You do three matches and you do best of 3 on Friday night.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun for sure.
I will be there every Friday night, regardless. The question is whether James is going to show up to throw down. That's the question here.
Oh, the gauntlet. Boom.
Now, what's going to be cool though is that James and I. So James, it's what age will you be when the CrossFit Games happen that year? Right. And both of us will be 40 years old. So we will qualify as 40-year-olds in the next CrossFit Open in February, March of 2023, which means that we will be the youngest people in our brackets, in our division, which finally. I like to think that's going to be a competitive advantage. We're the spring chickens again.
Yes. Yes.
Love it.
But we got to prepare. You got to be putting in the work. Just aim.
Yep.
I think you're freezing a little bit again, G. That's all right.
It's okay.
So James, let me steer you back here to a couple of the questions conversationally that we wanted to talk with you about. Let's go back in time a little bit and find out first, how did you find out about CrossFit Edwardsville?
Sure. It was actually kind of a really cool chance thing. G here had posted about the 6-week challenge that they were doing at the time. Was this the baseball bat and the candy bags? What's that?
The baseball bat and the food? Was that what you saw about the post?
The baseball bat and the goldfish. The goldfish crackers.
Yeah, that was the thing I saw. It was him sitting there with a baseball bat and crack, swinging the goldfish bags.
Oh, that's cool. All I remembered was seeing a video of this super jacked guy saying, "Hey, I've got this 6-week challenge going on." I had just gotten down, and we'll talk about that more later, right? But I had just finally gotten to a healthy body weight and had some more time on my hands as well. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is it. And a mutual friend of ours, Caleb Sasser, shout out Caleb Sasser, had shared G's post, and I was like, I can do whatever for 6 weeks. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? If I give it 6 weeks and I hate it, then I'm out 6 weeks, and if not, right, maybe this is my next thing, and I'm still here. So God worked it out for sure. So that's how I got to CrossFit.
Love it. Well, so the why then, I guess with that's how you got there. But the why question, I suppose, would be, you said you had gotten to a place in your weight where you felt, okay, I'm ready to start moving. Why CrossFit over any other option?
Honestly, I knew that it was difficult, and I knew that it would be a challenge. And it also, so I had that first initial chat with G in his office before the 6-week challenge, and we spoke the same language.
Yeah.
The language of doing what we do to partially to inspire other people that it is possible, right? And then also just living out the healthiest possible life in using that to lead in our own families. I have 2 young daughters, and just wanting to model a healthy lifestyle for them, so that they don't have to make a big shift when they're 35 like I had to. Yep.
So they don't have to undo damage or unlearn bad habits later. Yeah. Set them up for success from the start. That's awesome. I think that speaks to a lot of people who are in CrossFit now and then also aspire to CrossFit, like the majority of us are married with kids. We have kids. We want to be a good example to our kids so they don't ever have to struggle with body image and weight like the rest of us did. That's a really important thing. Like the legacy of our fitness is that they can avoid all the obesity, hypertension, diabetes, glaucoma, all of the heart disease that plagues the rest of our country, our friends, and family. But getting back to CFE, what keeps you coming back to CFE? So fast forward to now, we talked about why you were here in the start. What keeps you coming back to CFE, James?
Well, honestly, the programming and the workouts are great, but what keeps me coming back are the people, right? And the relationships that you build with people, like even among the coaching staff, right?
Sure.
When you're there in the gym, you always feel like you are amongst friends, and the idea of we're all moving in the same direction. Now everybody's moving at different paces and different speeds, but we're all moving in the same direction. We're all trying to be better, to be fitter, to be healthier, right? And just that feel of, and that's not the case everywhere. You walk around anywhere else and you don't get that feeling. So just the relationships you build through interesting trials that you go through in the gym together, as a family, really. So,
yeah. That's awesome. I love it. So kind of related to that, there we go. Kind of related to that, what do you think are the best? Again, I can't wait to just pull this photo up.
Soon enough.
Dallas, whatever you want, man. I'll let you decide, Dallas. Whatever you want.
Well, this is like the Marshmallow Test. When do you guys remember that old psychological test they did with kids years ago?
Yep.
If y'all are listening to this and you don't know what the Marshmallow Test is, go Google it. Watch the YouTube video. It's fascinating. It's how long can you delay gratification? And I want to show this photo so much, but it's like, it's my Marshmallow Test. I have it right there. But related kind of to the above, James, what are the best benefits to doing CrossFit for you? Like, how has it changed the way we always talk about look better, feel better, perform better here at the gym. So for you as an athlete, as a man, as a believer in Jesus, as a business professional, what are the benefits of CrossFit for you? Sure.
And I think you hit on one of the most important aspects of it for me, because if I were to describe myself, I would always say that I am a Christian first, a husband second, a father third, a health coach fourth, and a CrossFitter fifth, and not that every single one of those things are super important to me, but those are sort of the priorities that I lay my life out, or at least attempt to lay my life out, and nobody's perfect. But having the type of energy that I do now opens so many doors for me in service of mankind, in service at my church, in service to my wife, service to my kids, and that's really kind of the way I want to model my life, and it's something that I've always kind of wanted, but when you're dragging energy wise all the time, it just you run out. You can't pour from an empty cup. And it's part of what fills my cup, and it's kind of my me time. That hour in the gym testing myself, and it's and of course we have the feel great, look great, harder to kill, that stuff. But yeah, just having what I need energy wise to reach back and help the world.
I love that. That's one of the things when people first reach out to us, we hear this very, very commonly. I'd say maybe 60% of the time that people reach out to us, one of the things they want is to have more energy to go out and live their best life, to be the best husband, the best father, the best working professional. We hear stuff like, I don't want to finish my workday, come home and just be exhausted and have nothing to give to my wife and my kids. I want to have energy when I wake up in the morning. I want to have energy at work. I want to be focused and productive. I want to be like an ass kicker at my job. And then when I come home, I don't want to be used up and exhausted. I want to have more in the gas tank to go out and be an awesome dad, be an awesome father, be able to do all this stuff, not just be the tired dad on the sidelines, but if my kids want to go, they want to play soccer in the yard, I want to know that I have the energy to do that too. I'm with you on that 1,000%, James, that the energy, the stamina, the endurance to go out and just like live life with no limitations. Like I know like right now, if I were to invite James, like, yo, James, I want to go, there's a 5K tomorrow. I'm going to run this. You want to run this? James can go and just do that with no training. Like we can say, hey, there's a Spartan race next week. You want to go do that? We could just go do that. That's what like really, really cool things about this is like how many possibilities, how many doors it opens when you have essentially an infinite energy and gas tank to draw from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not just that too. It's not just being empowered to live your best life. It's also the body transformation that comes along with it, the physical change as you become your most athletic self. So is it okay with you? Can we share this photograph of your body transformation, James, just to give the audience an idea of how far you've come?
If I say no, will Dallas's head explode?
No.
Probably will.
Yes.
Yes.
Place in the notes where it says, let's talk transformation. So
absolutely, 100%, I'm all for it.
So G, do I get to click the button or should you?
Well, go ahead, man. I know this is your marshmallow moment. You finally get to eat the marshmallow.
I do want to say to everybody again, if you're listening to the audio version, you do need to come and check us out at CrossFit Edwardsville on social media because I'm sure we'll post this photo in here as part of this. But if you're watching on the YouTube version, this is so great, James. This is awesome, man. Epic transformation right here. We get it bigger there. Boom! Look at this. Holy my word. Look at that. Hashtag beast. Hashtag CFE beast. Hashtag all the beast.
And James, just speak to it for a second. Like when you were the man on the left, how did you feel compared to how you feel as the man on the right?
Honestly, I would encourage anyone who is watching on video, zoom in to the face on the left and the right, and it tells the story.
Yeah.
You can almost see the yellow in my eyes on the left, and just the unhealthy lifestyle that I was leading, and just almost a blank stare. Knowing that I was, on the precipice of trying to make an improvement and move forward, right? But there's no real confidence there, and just, an unhealthy lifestyle and tired all the time. So it's been a big switch for me and my family. Yeah. Full of joy immediately after. That was actually taken right after a 5 a.m. class, immediately after a gnarly workout from a 5 a.m. CrossFit class. So just the difference in how I feel, and you can try to put on a mask for everybody around you and try to play the happy-go-lucky guy when you're not feeling well, but that'll only last so long.
Yeah.
Right. So,
sure.
Yeah.
It's just it's just an epic transformation. I think for me, the transformation of where the chest hair went is most impressive.
If you're gonna be lean, you got to be clean, brother. That's
right. I think that's the phrase. You gotta be clean. Love it. So let's talk about this transformation a little bit because it's mind blowing. There's so many aspects here of exercise, nutrition, mindset that have to be at play for someone to completely transform your physique like this. So can we talk about mindset first? Like
Sure.
what mindset shift, what mental turning point got you to this place that's empowered this transformation? Like what changed mentally for you?
Sure. I'm always taken back to just a very brief story. My mother-in-law works for an audiologist, or used to work for an audiologist in Alton. I live in Godfrey, Illinois, and my oldest daughter Molly was doing some speech therapy at this audiologist, and so I had brought her in. So I was chatting with my mother-in-law, with hashtag mother-in-laws, right? And her coworker while Molly was in her session, and we were talking about Social Security, and we were talking about all that kind of stuff for the long-term future,
Yeah.
right? And I said, and I had made the statement that Social Security, there's no chance Social Security is still going to be around by the time I turn 65, and then I said it out loud, knowing that it probably was true. I said, and with the way I eat and live, I don't really expect to live to 65 anyway, right?
Wow.
And the look on my mother-in-law and her coworker's face as they both, like, because their backs were turned to me and they were at their desks, they both stopped and just slowly turned and looked at me like, did you just say that? Right.
Right.
And at the time I meant it. Like I knew it to be true.
Yeah.
Right. And I had 2 young girls at home at the time. That was a few years ago now, and my girls are 9 and 5 now, but 4 years ago they were, Maggie was essentially a baby still, right? So I don't know why I had to say it out loud to finally make that switch, and then it just went from there, and it's been
incredible, man.
And it wasn't just the one big mindset shift. There's a lot of mindset shifts that happened all along the way, right?
Yeah.
Because you see that before picture and you see that after picture, but there are dozens of pictures in between where little shifts had to be made.
Yep.
Because what got me, to that next place wasn't going to get me to the next place and the next place and the next place, right? So it's I've heard it described as mountain climbers. They climb and they get to one peak, and then they get a peak at another peak, right? And then you get to that next one, and then you get a peak at another peak, right? And it's just constantly moving forward and climbing. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's very, very important that we don't gloss over this point. I want to hang out here a little bit longer, James. So the story you told is powerful, but help us understand, was that like mentally a turning point that you realized that you were on a very dangerous path and that the future was bleak? Like, what was it in that moment? You verbalized it. Like, what was the reaction you had internally that made you say, I have to change directions now?
Yeah.
I honestly believe that there's a lot of power in verbalizing those things out loud, right? And at that point, I'd said, okay, it's time for me to start looking, right? And and that led me to, similar to how I came to CrossFit, that led me to a post of an old friend of mine, right, made on Facebook, and it was one of those situations where I knew him well enough, I trusted him well enough, and when I saw that he had gone through a little bit of a transformation himself, I reached out to him, because to me it was a well, if he can do it, maybe I can too. Right. And that was a big deal for me, because if I would have never turned, and saw somebody go from pretty fit to absolutely shredded, and say, oh, I relate to that. That's cool. Maybe I can reach out to this guy, but I needed somebody that I knew, quote, got it. And that was huge for me, right? And just bringing in that community aspect and bringing in someone for accountability, because we all need coaches. Even if you're coaching other people, you need coaches, right?
Yeah.
You need to be coached and be held accountable to what you said you wanted, and that's a big part of the mindset, and just kind of writing those things down, and not even just focusing on what you're doing to move forward, but way more importantly, why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right. Because at a certain point when I had, I can either, eat these donuts and this frozen pizza, right? Or I can walk my daughters down the aisle someday, yeah, that's a different decision than oh, I've got donuts and frozen pizza on one side and looking good on a beach vacation on the other side.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So really finding that intrinsic motivation to really dive down into why we're doing what we're doing and making those changes
Yes.
is so important. And that's the mindset shift that has to happen.
I've seen you continue. I've seen you on social media as well. Continue to exercise that mindset. I mean, just what was it, last week or something? You posted I ate this rather than this. So you're continually exercising that mindset stuff. So everybody wants to know too, if you want to connect with James, it's James D Hooks on Instagram and on Facebook. James, the letter D, Hooks on Instagram. But I love this mentality stuff. Anything else you want to share on that? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think we're
food part too.
Absolutely. So the story that James just related speaks to the power of, broadcasting a transformation. What James had was he had somebody that was in his circle, somebody he knew that had actually had a successful redirect of their life. They'd moved into a healthy path. They had a positive change. And it was the fact that James could relate to this person and saw like, well, if he can do it, maybe I can do it too. When James shares his story, or what we're sharing James' story today, there are probably people in the audience that can relate to this man specifically. And James, like, sharing your story is going to empower a legion of men who can relate to your story, who felt terrible, that felt, kind of out of hope, and they felt out of shape. And they're like, I know this path that I'm on. I know how this story ends. Like, I'm not going to get to walk my daughters down the aisle.
Right.
I'm going to be dead before my Social Security kicks in. Like, you're going to help to show people what is possible, which is very exciting. It's going to change the world in a positive way. But you had referenced that he had this initial realization, that light bulb moment. That was a piece of what started you down this path. And you said there are a lot of peaks along the way, a lot of time like windows in between the before photograph and the after photograph. What are some of the other, I guess, light bulb moments for you, or other mindset like clicks, things that just clicked for you along the way that empowered you to keep going? Because a lot of people will get to a strong start. They hit the rock bottom. They feel like hell. They're miserable. They just have this sense of incongruence. Like, I know I'm not living my life congruent with my own values here. I don't like myself for that reason. I've got this powerful surge of emotion to start, and I begin my transformation, but it's novel, it's exciting, it's new. When you begin it, I start a new exercise thing. I start a new nutrition thing. I get some early wins, some momentum. I cut 6 pounds the first week. I cut 3 pounds the second week. Week 3, it's not novel anymore. So it's really important to capture. James kept going. James got his early wins. He got some victories. He kept going. I'm so curious to know, what were the mindsets and the little light bulb moments along the way, the peaks, you called them, that let you keep going when life throws you a curveball, as it does for all of us. The shit hits the fan, something goes wrong. What let you keep going when you didn't feel like keeping going?
Sure. To me, there's a few different things. Number one, to me, is your level of detail is going to be determined by your level of dissatisfaction with where you are right now. Right. So you're going to create.
Whoa.
I know, right?
Yeah. Cue up the lower third, baby. Cue up the lower third.
You got to say that again, because I'm a little like,
right.
What? Your level of detail.
Your level of detail will be determined by your level of dissatisfaction with your current reality. Right. And that applies to a lot of different areas in life, honestly, right? Whether it be in business and health and things like that. But to me, another part of it is accountability.
Yeah.
Right. Is dieting in the dark doesn't work. Right. Because the winds slow down. Right. And like G said, the winds become less novel. Right. But bringing in your circle, dieting in the dark doesn't work because you need other people. You need accountability. I firmly believe it's how God designed us. Right. We are built for community. You know, a lot of introverts might,
yes.
a lot of introverts might disagree with me, but they're wrong. And bringing in other people in your circle makes it not just about me.
Yeah.
Right. If we can make it about us rather than me, right now, like whose life doesn't change if I don't continue moving forward?
Yeah.
You know, maybe, you know, it's my kids, you know, and also my wife. Like their life doesn't change if I don't continue forward. Right. Because they have less of a lesser husband and they have a lesser father. Right. So to me, there's a lot of power in accountability and making it more than just you.
That's good.
So your we was your kids and your wife. You're like, if I stop, if I fail, I'm not the only one that snowballs down the hill the wrong direction.
Yep.
They do too.
Yep.
So what does James do, or what happens if like your wife and your kids are the ones that are like, come on, Dad, let's just get the pizza? Like how do you frame or attack that? Because for so many of us, like it's like you're the agent of positive change, and maybe the rest of your family isn't crazy about the changes. You know what I mean?
Well, I have been fortunate enough to be the tip of the spear in my family, and just because they've seen that I've been able to build some consistency in my life over time. And very early on, Beth and I told our girls that this is not something that mommy and daddy are doing. This is who we are.
Yeah.
Amen.
Right. You know, when it stops being about what you're doing and becoming who you are, right, it's not a decision for you anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Because this is just what we do. We eat healthy, we stay hydrated, we exercise. These are the things we do. All right. And that's huge.
This that theme has come up quite often on recent interviews, and I remember even just this idea of this isn't what I'm doing, it's who I am. I don't know if either of you saw the new Top Gun Maverick, but I actually walked out of the movie and wrote down in my journal, because there was a point where they were like ready to take his wings and ready to ground him. I'm not giving anything away. It's not a spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Like, grounded Maverick, like that sort of moment. Right. And to him, he said, this is not what I do. A naval aviator, that's who I am. And they were like, why do you keep going? And he's like, it's because it's who I am. And gee, we talked about this a few episodes ago of the athlete mentality of a CrossFitter is not, I go to the gym because it's what I do. It's no, I'm an athlete. It's who I am. We talked about that recently. So this has come up quite a bit lately. And you're also the thing that really, this is going to have to be like part 1 of 2 episodes with James. We got to have him back. We don't have enough time to talk about all the things because we're in this moment here. But I think there's some real magic here, James, because the other part of it too, when you look at the dad who's going to walk the daughters down the aisle at the wedding, you are projecting into a future that you want to embrace rather than a future you want to avoid. And Bob Proctor, in his book, Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life, talks about this a lot. Great read if you haven't read it, everybody. But he talks about the fact that you feel what the future you wants to feel. And you enact those feelings and those behaviors of future you in present reality because you're so tied to the future reality that you want to embrace. And I think there's some really powerful stuff here for a mindset shift.
Yeah. And one more thing I did want to bring up that we kind of touched on, what if in your circle of your family or your friends or something like that, they say, well, it's no big deal. It's just one pizza. It's just one donut or something like that.
It's a gateway drug for me.
Well, here's the thing, right? I firmly believe that I must treat myself like an addict because I am.
Amen.
I am super happy for the folks who can eat whatever in moderation. I'm not that person.
I'm not that person either.
I'm not sure I ever will be. Right.
I think the abstainer versus the moderator mentality.
Yeah.
We have 3 people on this conversation right now that it's like there aren't belt loops that you can loosen.
Right.
It's like a black belt. You either cinch it up and go.
Yeah.
And live that life, but if you loosen it, it's over for me.
And when you're trying to make changes, specifically in the early going, there's always going to be some resistance, right? Yeah. That pops up always. And you almost need to take stock a little bit of who are your friends and who are your accomplices, because we've all got both. And then also, just kind of some people might have to change the channel from you for a little while, right? And understand that it's not about you, it's about them.
Yeah.
Right. You're shining a mirror up to them, and they're not ready to see themselves in that light. And that's fine. Give them their space. When they're ready, they will come to you, right? Because they know that you've built this consistency in your life, and they know that you can. Because that's the best way to get anywhere is find someone that has the thing that you want, and go beg, borrow, and steal from them until you have it as well.
Yeah,
right. That's the quickest and most sensical way.
A lot of people fail their fitness or health journey in the gray area, where there's a cancerous pattern of thinking, which is like a little won't hurt, is one of those arguments that sounds so agreeable and it sounds so innocuous and so innocent on the surface, but most people, they have to hit rock bottom before they realize that very few of us, probably like the vast majority of us, have absolutely no idea how much is a little that is actually just fine. You know what I mean? So many people love to live in that gray area of like a little won't hurt, because it's like free license to make bad decisions regularly. But most people have no idea how many bad decisions can I actually make before it catches up to me. And most people make that judgment call incorrectly, which is why for most Americans, from year to year, they're gaining weight, they have less energy, they're less capable, they feel less awesome. It's because the gray area has this powerful, attractive allure to it where like, yeah, a little won't hurt, but next thing you know, you're out of shape, you're miserable, you're like, how the hell did I get here?
Yeah.
It's because it's a trap. It's a trap. It's a cancerous kind of thinking to say, oh, I'm the one person who's smart enough that it won't affect me. It won't hurt me. Yeah, like I can have, this much sugar, I'll be fine. I can dabble in pornography this much, I'll be fine.
Right.
I can fudge the numbers in the books at work a little bit in the accounting, we'll be fine. And like that pattern of thinking ends up becoming a very damaging internal, I don't know, it's a very dangerous path for a lot of people. It's not just fitness and health related, it's everything. And so this is so many people, me, James, Dallas, we're all abstainer versus moderators. We just recognize that we do not do well with, let's have a little bit of the damaging or destructive thing.
Right.
And, just decide we're going to draw the line. Like we just do better to steer away from trouble, period. I think most people do better just to steer away from trouble, period. Like you don't have the cheat foods in your home and you are less likely to cheat on your diet, right? If the temptation isn't there, you can't get tripped up by it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
James is nodding a lot here. James, like, what are your thoughts on all of this?
No, that's exactly it for me. And it's a lot of what I encourage other people to do as well. Just knowing what are your triggers, and knowing what those things are, and exactly what G said. Like, I also know that there are certain times of the day, right, that are worse for me, right? If it's 11 p.m. and all three of my girls are in bed and no one will, quote, see me, right? All bets are off. I'll eat the whole pantry down if I'm not careful, right? So sometimes it's better for me to just go to bed, you dope, right? Rather than struggle,
My grandma used to say, no good decision happens after the sun goes down.
Yes. Yeah.
So I do mindset training inside of another group, and one of the things I talk about regularly is there's this teeter-totter of resilience and temptation, and when resilience is really high, temptation's just almost a non-issue. Well, what happens is when you start to get worn down, you start to get tired, you start to get frustrated, and that resilience side starts to go down, the temptations of old patterns start to move up. So it's like, what do you need to do to restore your resilience? If it's go to bed earlier, if it's turn off the TV, if it's not be, G mentioned all of these things, fudging the books, pornography, alcoholism, any forms of sedation. When the temptation for sedation is really high, you have to go, what do I need to do to rest, recharge, reset, rejuvenate, and really get back to the why? And I know for me, that the cycle of weight loss and fitness and all of that, it's a constant battle right now. And part of it is I haven't fully resolved. There's a huge difference between resisting and renouncing. I just read that this week. There's a great book by a guy named Neville called The Power of Awareness. And when you resist something, it means it still has space in your brain. It still is there. It's something that you have to face off against. And so the more resilient I am, the easier it is to resist. If I flat out renounce it, it's not even a temptation anymore. If I just go, this isn't part of my frame, it's not part of my life, as you said earlier, this isn't what I'm doing. Resistance isn't what I'm doing. Renouncing is who I am. And so this whole conversation is really resonating with me, guys.
Absolutely. There's a lot of powerful stuff here. I think that'll make a big difference for a lot of people. James, anything else on the mindset side before Dallas asks you for some of the tactics, some of the nutrition strategies?
No, I think we could, with this three people on this call right here, I think we could talk about mindset for the next day and a half.
Easily.
But I think we've given a lot of people some great nuggets and shared some good information. So I think that's good.
So just give us James here. We're nearing the end of our time together, but we have so many more things we could talk about. Gee, we do have to have James back. we have to do a kind of a part 2 of this because there's so many
let me
things
know.
about the man behind the legend. There's all of this that we want to talk about. But just real fast, keys to success when it comes to nutrition for you. I mean, we've mentioned don't have the stuff around. That's obviously a key to success. But key to success when it comes to either nutrition or exercise, maybe broadly, or a new paradigm or perspective that's really empowered you.
Sure. Nutrition wise, kind of more specifically, I tend to eat nutrient dense, filling foods. Because like I said, I am an addict, and the more full I am, the better off I'm going to be. I try to eat low glycemic to stay super well hydrated. I try to shoot for at least, half of my body weight in ounces of water. So right now, if I'm weighing 210, 105 is okay. And then I'll try to add about 20 ounces, per workout that I do that day, because I do sweat a lot.
You're a sweaty
Dude, I used to think it was because I was a big fat guy, but apparently not, because that's been years now. So, it is what it is. And, just avoiding, completely not having certain things in the house. Like I could never be successful if I had peanut butter M&Ms around me all the time. Like it just wouldn't work. Right. Because I'd eat them every day. And then on the exercise things, side of things, as far as, kind of my mentality of it. It is my me time, right? But I also want to get the most out of that time. And it is always my goal in a workout or in a class to rarely, if ever, leave something left in the tank at the end, right? I am consistently found laying flat on my back, right, at the end of whatever workout it is, because I'm not trying to leave, any time spent poorly, right? And and I love to leave sweat angels. Sweat angels are my chief expert.
So I got 2 points on this, and I think what we're going to need to do, like Dallas said, is we'll make this part 1 of who knows how many parts. I feel like there's a very deep well that we can draw from here. There's a lot of learning that we can all do, but 2 takeaways is that James is saying that for every workout he goes to do, he gives everything he has to that workout. He gives it his full effort. There's an expression that I use when I coach: full effort is full victory. And that can be different on different days. You might go to the gym. What's that?
Oh, we just said we were agreeing. We just said when you full effort is
full victory. And maybe you didn't get the night of sleep you wanted to last night. Maybe you feel a little off, like you woke up, you had a rib out of place or whatever. Life throws you a lot of things. You're at 20% of capacity today. Go to the gym, give all of that 20%, and trust that that's enough. You don't have to be the strongest, the fastest, but something that is a currency that everyone respects in CrossFit world is effort. Like, I can look across the room and see somebody who's, a middle-aged woman. They're clearly there because they want to lose some weight, feel better. If I can see that they are giving their best effort, I have so much respect for that person. Like, that's what really matters, is the effort you give. And you can always choose your level of effort. So giving everything you can on a given day is one of the takeaways here. Yeah. Another one is that drink a lot of water. See,
we've all been chugging throughout this thing.
Amen. I feel, James, that the people like yourself who sweat a lot, that's because your body is a very smart and efficient machine. Your body recognizes sweating lets us function better when we are exerting ourselves, keeps our bodies cool, right? Those massive sweat angels, just a sign that you are highly metabolically efficient. Your body is doing its job really, really well. And I raise my glass to you and I cheers to that.
Clank.
We're going to save a lot of the questions. We have so many more questions here, James. We're going to save this for other day.
Yeah.
All good.
This is so good, though. So just real fast, everybody. Again, one of the things that James said that really stuck out to me is this: when it comes to this mindset shift, your level of detail will be determined by your level of dissatisfaction with your current reality. Your current reality is going to take you to a future you want to avoid. Then you need to be so spiteful and despise it so much that it actually shifts to the future you want to embrace in such a level of detail that you feel in the now what you want to feel in the future. And I love that. And then obviously a big takeaway for me too is this thing, James, that you said, dieting in the dark doesn't work. You need the accountability. You need the community. That's why we have communities like CrossFit Edwardsville. I mean, we've talked with other gym owners too from other places. Community is so important. One of the people that you definitely need to connect with, everybody, is James. And I will say it again, his Instagram and his Facebook is facebook.com/or @James D. Hooks. This man is not just the embodiment of transformation itself, but he is also a health coach. That is his career, that it is his job. So if you're wanting to make that switch, you can always reach out to us on the socials @CrossFit Edwardsville, but also connect with James, reach out to him @James D. Hooks, and just say, tell me what must I do?
Yes.
What must I do, sir?
To save my health. But here's what it looks like, everybody. It looks like this. This is what the mindset shift that manifests itself as a physical shift does.
Which is what it is. It's a mental change first that then precipitates the physical change.
Yeah. So, James, man, I'll say it first. Thank you so much for coming on with us, brother. Appreciate you taking the extra time today, and the fact that you're going to let us, hopefully, no pun intended, hook you into a second conversation.
I'm all for it, guys. I love it. I had a great time chatting with you guys. You know, you're two of my favorite people. So anytime.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Gee, send us out then, my man.
Hey, everybody, have yourselves a beautiful and blessed rest of your day. Thanks for listening in. Thank you to our guest, James. Thank you to all of you guys. Have an amazing day.